Today on the podcast, we're talking about how Raspberry AI raised $24 million for its AI image generation related to fashion. So, today on the podcast, we're going to talk all about how you can use this if you have an Etsy store, you're trying to grow a print on demand business, and all the implications for this. So, before we get into that, I wanted to tell you about our school community. It is an amazing place. We just passed 300 members recently, and we cover all different types of ways to actually make money with AI. So we ourselves have a lot of different strategies, and also members in the community are actually making money with AI. And so we can teach you how to do that and how other people are doing it as well. We have a huge library of content, and it's just a really great place to connect with other like-minded people. So you're definitely going to want to be a part of it. Currently, it's only $19 a month, and that's a steal because we recently had it at $100 a month. So it's on sale right now. You're going to want to check it out. But yeah, let's get into talking about Raspberry AI.
So the thing that I think is really impressive here is the fact that they were able to raise $24 million. This means this is obviously a very serious company. They raised this from A16Z, which is one of the top venture capital firms. So it kind of like when I saw that headline, I was like, oh my gosh, like how are they able to do this? The premise of the whole company is that there's fast fashion right now, right? So like there's companies like Shein and H&M and Zara, and they have, the trendiest clothes, but they have a really fast turnover. In the past, when you had like Gap and like Old Navy and like some of those Banana Republic. Actually, I think all three of those are the same company, but you get it. Like those kind of like the old guard of clothing brands, they would have like seasonal turnover once every 6 months or so. And so what's happening now is the turnover is much faster. The fashion's happening much faster. And because of that, companies need to design new trending clothes faster. When they do that, they do really well. Raspberry AI is essentially helping companies to come up with tons of different designs. So their founder is Cheryl Liu. This was a private equity analyst at KKR, which is kind of focused on retail. Cheryl also eventually worked at Amazon and DoorDash, but she really saw a opportunity because tons of people in the fashion industry were using Dolly and Stability AI essentially to generate images when those things kind of came out back in 2022 for fashion. So this is what she said. She said, for the first time in history, you could rapidly create hundreds of designs in a way that you could never do before that. So this is really interesting. In the past, you had to come up with a whole bunch of Photoshop designs and you had to send them over to get like physical samples to try to like visualize what these would actually look like. Today, if you have an idea, you could just get it create like 100 different variations made on something like Midjourney, and you could decide if like this is actually useful. So what they do with Raspberry, I think that's actually like the interesting or useful part, is that you can upload like a sketch. If you kind of sketch what a t-shirt would look like, you upload a sketch and you get it turned into a photorealistic image. So it looks like it's on a company's website. And all of those can then help a company decide, like, do we actually want to manufacture this product? Does it actually look good? And so they kind of get this like really quick turnaround through this company.
Yeah, and I should mention in the article it states that Under Armour is actually one of their customers. So, I mean, that's a pretty big deal to have a company like that on your roster. So, I will say, so this is kind of an interesting thing for the small guy too, not just big companies, but and I'll tell a little story here because if you live in Michigan, you know right now this is the biggest year ever in football because the Detroit Lions are looking like they may go to the Super Bowl. And that has never happened before, and we never expected it to happen either. So there's a lot of pride going on right now for the Detroit Lions. And I was recently on Facebook Marketplace, and I came across it was like a sweatshirt design, and this girl had made her own design with the Detroit Lions. Here, if you stop sharing, Jaeden, I'll share because I have it pulled up here. But
Oh yeah, I got you.
the Detroit Lions, or most football logos, you have like the normal mascot. But this was like a really cool take, and I was like, that's awesome. And I was tempted to order it because it was so cool. So let me share my screen here. But you basically have a lion
Oh, that's
sketched
sick.
out really artistically. It's wearing a blue beanie with sunglasses on. It just looks really cool and like stylized, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm like, and I'm looking closer at it. I'm like, okay, maybe she drew this, but what if she just used Midjourney or AI? It's hard to even tell anymore because some of these models are so good. So I think this Raspberry application for the little guy could be amazing too. For those people who do print on demand, for example, the strategy with print on demand in recent years has been the whole customization idea. So, having someone's name on a T-shirt with a funny saying, just being able to customize. So, if you take it to the next level with AI and being able to do some cool stuff with image generation, I think you could have a pretty good business.
This is really smart. I think that these AI tools right now are perfect, especially for like you can make long term businesses, but I think especially when you have these like big trending events, right? Like, oh my gosh, this football team is making it to the Super Bowl. You can make a ton of money in the month leading up to that big Super Bowl game, where you have like custom content for that. Where this wasn't like something that some company put in like a million orders for ahead of time and they knew this was going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it's like some of this niche content where it's really cool, this niche merch, but like no one really could prepare for it. So you see this, I think, with like politics, you see it with sports teams. There's a whole bunch of different industries. And the cool thing is right now, it's interesting to you because it's the Detroit Lions that's right next to you. But next year, whoever is playing in the Super Bowl, you can do pretty much the same thing, especially if it's a less well-known team, right? I mean, if we have the Kansas City Chiefs going to the Super Bowl again for like the 5 millionth time, there's probably a bunch of people has content and like t-shirt and hoodie designs for that. But if you get some of these like lesser known, lesser popular teams that don't normally make it that far, it's really exciting. But I think there's like a huge hole in the market. So I think this is really interesting. I saw on Amazon before the election, like all sorts of really funny like election merch that I saw that people were making with obviously I could tell they were just generating it with Midjourney. And so there's all sorts of like interesting stuff there. So I think you kind of look at whatever the big events that are happening. And there's of course the Super Bowl, but there's also like golf and hockey and soccer and every single sport. You can get kind of these finalist teams and you can make t-shirts that are custom for that and put them on Etsy. You just use Printful, which is print on the demand. You don't actually have to order any sort of design. All you have to do is upload your design that you make on Midjourney, upload it to Printful, get it all set up, and you could go and sell that t-shirt or that hoodie or that whatever type of merch you want on Etsy. And I think you can make a ton of money right now in kind of that arbitrage opportunity.
And pro tip, I'm not condoning this, but if you're looking to create a likeness of a specific famous person, you probably would want to use Grok instead of ChatGPT because ChatGPT has copyright restrictions where Grok does not. I'm again not suggesting you do this, but if you wanted to, make a Cristiano Ronaldo T-shirt, that would probably be the AI you need to use. So
That's a great pro tip for you. And it's interesting. So if you go to Etsy today and search for a Cristiano Ronaldo t-shirt, there are a whole bunch. Obviously, he's the most famous soccer player in the world. So there's a lot of them. But I 100% guarantee you that none of these are official from him, right? Like people are just fans or kind of like
yeah,
making
true.
these t-shirts and stuff. But they're going to make a ton of money. So I do think this is really interesting. I don't know what the legality around specific players are. So we're not endorsing anything in that regard, but a lot of money to be made, a lot of interesting things that you could definitely do there that are interesting. Now, the one thing I want to bring up, Jamie, with your Detroit Lions logo that or t-shirt that you showed off a little while back, was that it wasn't the team's like official logo or official mascot. It was just like a cool stylized lion that had that said Detroit on it. And I actually think that that's a genius because that's probably them getting around any sort of copyright infringement issues. So there's a lot of
Exactly.
really clever things you can do. And I think that this was just never possible before we had Midjourney and Grok and OpenAI and Dolly and stuff able to spin these up. And so it'll be interesting to see what Raspberry is able to do. It's obviously a company that's raised a ton of money. The one thing I wanted to bring up on that company that they do that's interesting, I guess they're like the reason that they're any different than using just like Midjourney, and so I guess this is like why they got $24 million instead of nothing. They said they said that essentially a key reason why professional designers choose their company is and their product is their ability to understand and accurately interpret industry specific terminology. So she gave an example. She said, a fuzzy sweater, there's a lot of terminology behind that sweater that Midjourney doesn't know. And so they have essentially kind of like fine tuned into their model. If you say fuzzy sweater, that it knows, okay, it's talking about like a wool or polyester or fleece, or I guess like whatever you actually mean. So they've done some like fine tuning on top to make this thing work better than just like a straight out of the box Midjourney kind of tool. So I do think that's interesting. And then another specific thing is that you can design a sketch and give it to them, and they're able to do that. Although I think some of these other tools also can kind of do image uploads as well. So this is going to be interesting to see how this company progresses. Definitely check out Raspberry if you're interested in this side hustle. But otherwise, you definitely can do a lot of this stuff with Midjourney, with Adobe Firefly, with Dolly. And I think there's a lot of awesome tools today to kind of do this.
Thanks for listening today, guys. If you got any value out of the episode, be sure to leave us a review. We read every single one, and it really helps out our podcast reach more people. So thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.